how the AI is currently changing, or how do I foresee how it's gonna change the landscape in the IT industry for sure. Right? So what I foresee from the current trends right now, it's massively gonna impact the day to day life. Uh, be it in any domain. I'm not going in specific to the fintech to start with, but be it in any domain, the generical problems gonna get impacted and gonna solved very very easily going forward. And I think we are getting the flavors now. Everybody is aware of how the chat gpts, the soras, and all those things are working out. It's a mixed flavor. People are excited about it. There are people who are scared about it, but I do believe, I think it's a more of gonna be exciting journey going forward, because the help that the AI brings you to your day to day work is enormous. Like the task that you were performing till now, maybe let's say in few hours, with the help of an assistant, which is trained in a specific domain or for a specific task, can actually help you deliver quite fast, like 10x or 20x, right? So it's definitely gonna do a lot of additions into our life, and specifically to the fintech world, right? Where I'm currently working on, and we are seeing the wave of the fintech, at least in the Indian economy, right? It's gonna help a lot, specifically for the areas where ease of solutioning or ease of the payments is gonna happen. A more robustness into the payments, the more openness into the payments kind of scenarios will happen. It will open up a lot of portails for us to have niche products from the payment sites, from the fintech sites, that will actually get into the day to day life of each one of us. And it's gonna have an impact, maybe doing a half of the work for us, without taking a lot of help from us. So it's gonna positively impact our life for sure. That's my take on the AI in the coming years.
How AI is impacting today, as in our this generation, I feel it is immensely affecting us. We know or we do not know. For example, I can give you a certain scenario in the current financial world, how it's going on. But you can think of the when the customer getting targeted, you may be getting a call, maybe from phone, maybe through emails notifications, or maybe from app notifications. So starting from the targeting a customer to acquisition of that customer to bringing that customer through the process of a financial journey and then managing it over time. Everything is today happening somewhere in some form, the AI or in a what a traditional ML is used. So it's nothing new that we have found a new thing. It's happening. Just that we are slowly realizing. And given that the awareness today is very high, people are trying to understand why did I get a message from my through my mobile and why not I'm getting a phone call. So there is a difference. If you are not targeted through a phone call, that there is a certain algorithm behind that didn't prioritize you through a phone call, then maybe through a message. Right? So that's happening. And what is going to happen down the line 5 years? Then a lot of things going to happen. For example, if you have seen today any particular any technical product, or maybe you are whoever is using mobile, maybe down the before 10 years, there's just a phone. Today is not just a phone; it's much smarter than that. You can do a lot of things on top of it, right? And it has integrated today. The very basic thing today, we have the sensors through which you can play with it and you can do a lot of things. What I believe in down the line 5 years, already iPhone has built a lot of AI layers on the mobile we have. Similarly, you do see a lot of applications are built on top of it, and which would be everyone's hand, and people would like play like any top. So it would be so simple and so easy. So that's how I see it down the line 5 years. It is impacting, and it will impact our life.
If we have to think from a macro point of view, it is common sense that finance drives economy. And if India has to go from a $4 trillion economy to a $35 trillion, which is the aim which our honorable Prime Minister is setting us for 2047, we cannot do anything without actually driving finance to the next level. And if we have to do that, everybody believes that an incremental technology adoption cannot do anything for us, but we need disruptive technology frameworks that will change the landscape for us. India, thankfully, has figured out through the digital public infrastructure the two facets of the fintech world. One is the identity layer, which we all have been beneficiaries of by the Aadhaar framework and multiple other frameworks that have been rolled out over the last decade or so. The second layer is the payment framework, which the gentleman just talked a few minutes before. And again, we all have been beneficiaries. More than us, I think the bottom of the pyramid have been beneficiaries of these two layers, right? People who didn't have the any kind of identity or who didn't know how to go to a bank and initiate a payment have fundamentally benefited out of this, right? And of course, there are multiple numbers being talked about in terms of how much these technologies have created or added value to our GDP. I think the next layer is going to be credit. So the identity is fairly figured out. The payment is fairly figured out. We are also taking it to the global level. The next thing which is going to revolutionize finance and obviously revolutionize the way of life for a lot of people and application of technologies like AI ML will be the significant development which we all will see. Thank you.
When you look at the transformation that we all have gone through, the generational transformations, probably a decade over decade, this is probably the AI generation or AI decade that we are going through, right? It's been there, but the acceleration is picking up. The acceleration of AI transformation is dramatically picking up. And if you look at probably a year ago to till now, the acceleration has been quadrupled or even more, right? So what it transforms into is in our everyday life, especially point of the customization, which is really coming down to the personalization of your own information, right? Which is how do I serve you better? It is all machines are learning that. Machines are learning you. Machines are becoming better to understand what you want. How can that be served to you, right? I think that transformation has been more manual till now, right? It is when you automate it, part of the true characteristics, the behaviors that you wanted to really exhibit out of what you wanted to get out of it, you're going to get it out through the machines, right? So that's a power to start with. And second thing I just wanted to add on there is, especially the fintech layer or a financial services layer, and my partner here rightfully called out, which is finance is the center of the world, right? Everything is centered around finance. And when you look at your financial information, how that is secured enough, how that is been monitored, how that has been looked into in terms of your banking or in terms of your trading, in terms of your own activities that you do with finance, everything is going to change in a way that it is going to be much more personalized, much more into the aspect of how best can I do, what is the best, and a lot of those recommendations come to you rather than you seeking that. Lastly, I want to conclude with this, which is recently I saw a post on LinkedIn which said humans are going after machines in terms of phones. We're all watching phones, but machines are reading us, right? When machines are reading us, they are becoming smarter, and that smartness is what going to reflect back onto what we do on a day-to-day life. Back to you.
Very well said. Very well said, sir. Thank you. So I'll just double click on one of the key points that you mentioned, right? The hyper personalization, or how customers will see an evolution of kind of services that we'll see, right? So you and Sarah represent a global firm, Paytm, right? Anand represents an Indian giant, and Sir represents a startup. So how individually within your, I would say an industry level, right? How are you guys getting ready for the wave? What kind of changes should each of your industries what should the audience take from each of these industries as the next wave, from a technology perspective or from a consumer perspective? What should they be expecting or anything of that?
Yeah, I think I'll address that in a couple of ways, right? And then probably pass it back this way. Uh, I think from a consumer point of view, you have to be cautious about how is your data, is that data secured enough or not, right? Your personal information, is that secured enough or not, right? How far it is, how global it is being transformed into, and how much of that is something that you want to share or not, right? Some of those are not in your control, right? So when you go onto the websites nowadays, they're asking for cookies to say, do you want to accept these cookies or not, right? Watch out. I think what it is important for you to watch out what you're accepting, what you're not accepting, right? For example, the other day I was just traveling with another person, and somebody calls and says, "Hey, somebody is tracking you. You on your Snapchat app. You turned your location services on, so they are really tracking you, right? So that means you're with this person. You're going there, right? So you have to watch out what information that you're sharing, right? That kind of impacts your personalization. And second side of it is companies, organizations. What they're trying to do is they're trying to really predict. They're trying to build those predictive models around your personal data, right? So we have a lot of our focus right now is a lot of that chatbot technologies we are bringing in, and making sure that we are able to address your questions, your personal questions, much more freely and much more accurately, right? That accuracy is increasing as we speak, but we are not there yet, right? It's a journey. The model is improving as we speak, but I think it all comes back to understanding the intent. That is where the model maturities are coming along. The multi-model maturities, the intent behind that human behavior. More we understand, more personalization that we can start doing, and that's the journey that we are in. And as we mature enough, the serving to the customer becomes much more easier and much more accurate as well.
Yeah, probably I'll talk about the context a bit. The gentleman talked about the intent. So we are in the trade finance industry, and everybody knows that when a small business trades, buys or sells something to another business, it is not a straight line, right? So there are dips and there are seasonalities attached to it. There are a lot of dynamic situations where a customer is paying you very early. There are situations where the customer pays you late, right? And it's not just about telling a financial institution that, hey, go and fund this guy for about 10 lakhs, right? But it also is about giving the context, and that context can only be established when we look at large data sets, we look at the history within that spectrum of that industry, and we are able to bring intelligence which doesn't exist in the financial services ecosystem. So today, all of us know that banks are dependent on credit bureaus, right? So when somebody applies for a personal loan, or when somebody applies for a corporate loan, or a personal loan, the usual thing or a baseline thing which a financial institution does is to check about your financial history of what you have done, whether you have defaulted or paid your home loans, paid your EMIs properly, right? Now, this is a very baseline kind of checking that happens with the historical data that the system has captured. But what about people who do not have a history of data, right? What about people who face new dimensions of business? So today I might be a small business, serving about 100 customers. But the moment I get listed on an Amazon, or the moment I get listed on an e-commerce website, probably I'm staring at a million plus kind of customers who could come and ask me for business, right? And how do I meet the financing needs of these transactions is a fundamental challenge which trade finance institutions do not know how to solve currently. Because on balance sheet, on financial history, I may be worth only X lakhs or X crores in terms of my eligibility to draw financing. But I have a genuine case of looking at an hyperactive business traction which needs financing solutions, right? That's where ProFintech comes in. We are working with some of the voluntary organizations like iSpirit, which was at the beginning of UPI before even the NPCI came into picture. iSpirit was championing UPI payment ecosystems, and they are at the front end of bringing innovations which have an impact for the next decade or 2 decades, right? It's not about just trying to solve what is in front of us for the next year or so, but about creating something which can impact generations. So we are working with them. There's a first cohort which has come out where we are looking at large data sets and applying machine learning technologies to figure out if we can make this a kind of an auto decision process, right? Where people may not bring the data sets which usually people bring to a bank, but looking at their identity and looking at the industry and the trading situation they are in, we are able to make a decision that yes, this business would require this kind of financing at this point in time, and make that a kind of fulfilling story for that business. Because from a trade perspective, if you are not giving financing at the time of the need, then we should not be existing in the first place, right? So it's like a hospital. It's like a hospital in many ways, because if a patient walks in with a pain or a problem, and if you're not able to solve it and ask them to fill a form or give some do some requirements, then what's the use of being a financial institution in the first place? So we are thinking from that perspective, Kumar, and we are on an initial journey because the financial services industry is highly regulated. There are a lot of other challenges of risk, etc., which we need to solve for. But I think the direction that we are all taking is in the right spirit.
The way I see it in this case is that so this is a win-win situation for both industry as well as the customers. So industry want to do better in their margins so that business can float, they can make good money over time, and customer wants better experience. So then needs to be balanced. Now, how AI is doing it? AI is, the way I see it, AI is going to enable it so that business has better way to make money. At the same time, as a customer, I get better experience. That's what we want. At the same time, the beautiful things are happening as you see in this landscape for last 2 to 3 years, right? So if you look at simple KYC, know your customers. So simple things like you upload a document. Today people are just calling you, call over a video. You do not need to go to a particular bank or something and just prove it that you are the customer, right? So there are a lot of things are happening through this, and this is where, in a way, AI is making many things as an enabler. So it also brings like a lot of concerns as customer says, my data is get secured? Am I sharing whatever the data I'm sharing? These are my personal information. I'm giving right consent so that the models are getting built or the customers are getting targeted. So I think that's where government is going to do a lot of role. And in the same scenario, RBI also playing critical role where, as you see over time, in US it is always there. The market is well regulated and a lot of compliance is there. And I do see India is going to catch up on that. RBI has already put a lot of rules and regulations to build a lot of things. And recently you have seen this AI advisory came out, like how to build models, how to do things, but that's still not getting enforced. But the way I see it, that's in some point of time going to happen. So customer needs to look at it in more positive way so that the data is secure. The trust is going to be built.
Just to refresh the question, what the customers should foresee or expect as we grow in the AI world, especially towards the fintech, right? So pretty much covered by the folks over the panel. I will just complement the answers and totally agree in aligned with the directions the folks has already described the things. But I will just add 2 points over here, right? Whatever the next outcomes that we're gonna see, right? Whatever the next products that the customers gonna see will always be accompanied by 2 dimensions. One is on the fingertips, that is speed. So just to give an example, right? Let's take an example of KYC. So previously, when you used to go to a bank, it used to take maybe few days for you to complete the KYC because you have to submit the form, submit the documents, and all those things. Nowadays, you just go there, fill the details, and you're done. It's on your fingertips, and it's with the accuracy, right? Lending, the underwriting nowadays is on the fingertips. You just apply for it, and within few seconds, you will get an SMS. Congratulations, yeah. Or even nowadays, it's going even above that. Without applying, you are getting the messages that congratulations, you've been allotted. So definitely with the accuracy, a lot of accuracy gonna increase, a lot of speed gonna increase, and the second dimension is affordable experts, I would say. So if I just ask in the room, right, how many people here have a wealth manager? Maybe very few, hardly one hand or maybe nothing, right? So, but with the help of AI, with the help of technology, uh, the segment of robo advisors or the wealth advisors, which are affordable to the medium class, right, to affordable to the new young generation, is gonna happen, and that credit goes to the AI world, right? Because finance is a very very big world where you have to diversify, you have to learn a lot of things, right? And if an expert is sitting out there giving you an advice very cheaply, which also works in your direction according to your goals, that's something you should expect going forward in the fintech world. That's my two takes on it.
There are multiple challenges, but one of the positive things which I would like to start this, Kumar, is that whether we like it or not, the rules in the financial services industry or the regulations in financial services industry have been unknowingly made by the wrong set of people, right? When I say wrong set of people, these are defaulters. So when one Nirav Modi uses an instrument like a letter of credit to defraud the system, suddenly the entire rules for millions of other customers have been framed, right? It's like almost somebody going and crashing into a divider and then, without doing any checks on why the accident happened, we come up and put a traffic light or a signboard saying that this is an accident prone zone, right? So that has unfortunately happened over the years. So the good thing which is happening in this space is that a lot of data is coming into use, and RBI and SEBI and multiple other financial regulators who are the key stakeholders in the system are kind of believing that we need to look at the larger pools of data and bring in things like AI and ML before taking decisions which can impact the lives of people. Because obviously, if I decide based on one Nirav Modi whether to lend or not to the next million customers standing in the line, I would have probably done a disservice, to several customers. So that I think will be is a good thing which is happening. There are several challenges as you can imagine. Regulations always take time to catch up with any new technologies, and that is big in India because it's all also about financial stability, right? Finance has both angles, right? It's a kind of a double-edged sword. So on the positive side, it can fuel the economy, it can fuel the growth. But if you don't do it the right way, the economy can just spiral down and create huge problem for everybody, not just for government and RBI, but even for common people. You guys would have heard what happened in countries like Zimbabwe, right? Or what happened in countries like Argentina, etc., when there was spiraling inflation. And all of us have seen that to buy a 1 kilo of tomato, people used to take a pile of cash in a country like Zimbabwe to do that, right? Obviously, we don't want to go through that situation. So there will be a lot of caution before mainstreaming these technologies. But I am an optimist. I think that as the adjacent technologies or adjacent systems like the identity layers, the payment ecosystems, and things like account aggregator. I don't know how many of you have heard about that. Today, there is a regulated framework called account aggregator, which, if you give consent, can actually touch all your financial services providers like banks and NBFCs and take out a history of what happened in the past, right? So as these adjacent technologies and ecosystems mature, I think there will be a greater propensity for government and RBI to support adoption of AI and ML. Not just adoptions, but also to support mainstreaming these technologies. But till the time these things mature and till the time it is proven with data sets, we still have to bear with a little bit of a slowness, which is okay. I mean, we don't want to take a step and suddenly get into problems, right? So that's what I'm seeing.
True challenges point of view, I probably put India probably on the better side of it than rest of the countries, right? To be in fact, because our fintech industry has been really matured, right? The great example is the previous session that we really had at the NPCL, that is driving a billion people in systems, right? That kind of maturity is probably not there even in US, right? So I think definitely we are better off. AI, right? I think European is slightly better in terms of the regulations. They at least came up with a AI Act, right? We haven't seen that come out of India. So if something that like that comes out, and which is gives us clarity on what can be done, what can be done, I think it just gets us another edge as well. And even in India, government wise, there is a lot of support for AI. AI in India is definitely a big motivating factor for entire India as a whole. So I know the gentleman spoke about the underlying financial challenges. I don't want to go into that specific things, but I think the challenges, if anything at all, I think for us is the variations and the maturity level of people that we deal with, the billion people, that really brings in a quite wide spectrum of the maturity and the adoption, and how do we really tune our technologies to adopt to that spectrum of the variation, whether it is highly educated to not educated. How do we really deal with that, right? I think we are much better there in already in fintech world, but I think AI will be enabler, but we need to solve some of those underlying challenges that comes with it.
The AI is nothing but, just in a simple words, this is a data stack, and using the data, there is the models are built, and then models are getting deployed. So currently the process is that how can you make it this two endpoint within a very quick interval of time, so that's where you have a better business to be there, and then you will make an impact to the customers. So doing that, that is where the current challenges are more. Like, how do you first prepare those data? How do you gather the data in the particular business context? I think many times people are struggling there to gather data and preparing the data on which you can build a model. This model is nothing like you just put in garbage in and garbage out. Right? So it will not learn anything magical, whatever, nothing there in the data. You need to make sure whatever the use case you have in hand, you understand the problem well, and keeping the right set of the data and putting to the right kind of algorithm and get the right set of output. Now you have output. Model is trained, everything is good, but you can't put it in production because your production framework or the current the hardware or the architecture is available in the technical stack that is not capable to do it. For example, I build a model using a Gen AI Llama 7 million model, and I want to make a fraud detection on this, which I need to make a decision within maybe 1 to 2 milliseconds. That is impossible to do, because you need to generate data and pass through the model and get it out, right? So that required a massive infrastructure to do that particular inferencing or scoring to make it work. So it is not about the technology or the financial world, the required technology. It is not about this machine learning and AI algorithm. That requires the infrastructure and certain kind of hardware and software stack to support to that. And that's where the fintech, so-called tech, is helping the fin side of it to evolve faster. And that's a big thing happening, and this will keep evolving as we speak. And that's the beauty of this complete world. Right?
Again, it's the fourth term. Most of the things are being covered, but yeah, 2 points. Very important things said by my friend Sarah. Garbage in, garbage out. It's the data quality that's gonna be used to train the model to actually say that we're gonna be an AI leader, or we're gonna be having a lot of AI driven applications, is gonna play a very important role, right? And that's one thing, I guess, where we as an Indian, or as an as a country, have to do a lot of work on. Definitely now we have some base through the Aadhaar, through the PAN, right? But still a lot of things to be done, which says, okay, these are the unique identifications, and all these are the well structured data which I can use to train my model, which will produce the accuracy which I am expecting, right? So a lot of importance has to be given to the data quality if we want to excel into the AI world. And the second thing, from the India's perspective, right, on the AI journey, what I see is adoption, right? We are very diversified. country, right? Religion, caste, wealth levels, a lot of divisions, right? You just imagine, suppose if the demonetization would have not happened, for example, what would have been the percentage of UPI transactions or the digital wallet transactions as of now? I'm pretty sure the upper layer would have adopted it very very nicely and would have done it, adopted it very nicely and have given a lot of inputs to it. But the lower layer, which is a larger layer into the Indian ecosystem, right, might have struggled a little bit because uh, it might be possible that much effort into the adoption might have not been kept for the if the demonetization would have not happened, right? To do, even if we build a lot of AI driven applications, right, a lot of efforts needs to be put for the adoption from to the lower level, right? We have a tier 2, tier 3 people who still believes in the cash market, right? They still want to do a cash transactions. Now you're just saying that okay, there is a chat bot or there is a voice bot, right, which will just do the transactions for you. Just tell it, right? How much changes they have to bring in their day-to-day life or their thought process, that whether this is gonna happen fine or not, even if it is a 10 rupees transaction, 100 rupees transaction, right? So that adoption, the drive for the adoption has to be there with a lot of force from the AI's perspective. Whatever application you deliver, you have to be on the ground. You have to make it very very usable, very easy to use. In a different targeting different segments, maybe language wise, the region wise, and then drive for the adaptability. Until unless that won't be done, I think it will be a slow start. Slowly it will pick up, but for a faster thing, like to tell the story like UPI, right? You need either some event like demonetization, or you need some force which actually drives the adoption. Sure. Let me start maybe this time. Uh, with AI, there are a lot of challenges for sure, and responsible AI. Actually, I'm very very happy that responsible AI is picking up early in the days, right? Uh, with If you see the boom of 2000, right, where we were adopting towards the technology, uh, the backslashes that could happen because of the technology was not brought that wisely or with that much voice previously, and then slowly we saw that the impact over it, right? But it's really good if we start with the responsible AI from the day zero, or in the early days itself. It's very important, it's very very helpful technology, and at the same time it can be very very dangerous for us, right? Because both the sides of world exist, right? You will see people who wants to build the applications who are like really helpful, but at the same time you will see the people who just want to ditch you, or who just want to make a fraud or make money out of it, right? So to create this responsible AI, early stage regulations, or a kind of community which can says okay, these are the standards which will be followed while releasing an AI app or an AI feature, right? Anything, it's kind of gold market standards we have, right? If you're going to have a buy a gold somewhere, right, you generally see that okay, these tests are being passed, or any software you see, you generally check these are the security checks which are being passed or not, right? If we can together come up with an standard that okay, whatever the application or the feature that you are building through the help of AI or delivering as an AI, it has to go through certain security checks, or it has to pass certain benchmarks, and that becomes a kind of hallmark that okay, this is a sanitized app which it's not gonna harm the general people, right? And that will build a sense of trust within the people, that okay, I'm going to have an application which will be working for me rather than working against me, right? So it's gonna be a very important charter as we grow in the AI world. It will be very interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, so this is very interesting theme, like responsible AI. So, but when we say responsible AI, so first we need to understand what do we mean by that, right? So it is the where the responsible lies. So it is the person or the company or the organization who is building these models, right? So the model is built and then model is used for certain decision. For example, if you are getting a card or a credit decisioning is happening, you know that decisioning happens. So now I will just catch up on two themes, which is very important, I believe. One is the model bias, and second part is that how can you bring accountability through transparency. So what I mean by the model bias is that when I build a model, like as you collect the data, there is a certain inherent bias into it. For example, you collected a certain amount of data only because the person who surveyed or the way the data is collected, it is targeted to only male, not much female. Now the data is highly biased towards male, so because he has seen more attributes of those male population, so that when the decisions are made, and it says you are likely to get more profitable if you target a male customer rather than female. Now this is a bias inherent to the data that is selected and the model you build and the algorithm you choose to build these models, right? So now how so the going but the important part is that the regulators who is looking into this model, or let's say I own the model, so my primary purpose is to understand is this model is biased towards something or not, is it biased towards a certain language or certain race. So how can you make sure that that is one responsibility lies with which building this model and posing to the customers at a final decision. Second part is that the interpretable AI or explainable AI. So now the decisions are made. Now we need to explain. I say no, Kumar, I can't give you a credit of next. Let's say you are asking for let's say 1 lakh incremental credit or a credit line increase. Now I am saying no, I'm not going to give you the credit line increase. Then I need to explain you why I'm not going to give you this credit line increase. Right? That part when I build into my system, I'm creating the transparency. So Kumar would be more now trustworthy with trustable with me that he believes me what I'm saying, how my decisions are made, and that is the responsibility lies with me. Right? So these two aspects are I believe more important. There are more to it, but these are two critical things today. How the models are built.
One, I think, as I mentioned in the previous comment, the financial services ecosystem is highly regulated. And the good part is that a lot of financial intermediaries, whether it is insurance companies or banks, are regulated, which is not the case in many industries, right? So today, if you look at media or if you look at technology companies, they are not regulated. None of the Facebooks or Googles of the world are regulated, right? So in those sectors or in those industries, obviously the technology will be miles ahead of regulations before we open up our eyes and see that there are certain things which have happened the way which we didn't want to happen. Fortunately for us, the financial services industry is regulated, and also the service providers have an element of discretion. So if you are a bank or an insurance company, you are not allowed to just go ahead and go give loans to anybody, right? So there are certain ways and means of looking at it. For example, if there was a small company here which comes up and says that, hey, I would like to build a factory which will manufacture, say, machine guns or say narcotic substances, they're not going to get the loan, right? Because these are banned business activities. Fundamentally, they will not be allowed to come inside. So, talking about the ethical side of AI and ML technologies, I think there is a fundamental design level deterrence which has been built because of the nature of this industry, because of the nature of these regulations. So I personally think, and I could be wrong here, this is based on my experience and my bias, that there may be very less scope for things to just crop up out of the blue and create ethical issues within the spectrum of fintech or financial services ecosystem. That's my personal opinion. Thank you.
I think we are evolving, right? Ethics play a big role in the entire AI spectrum. Uh, Organizations are really transforming their chief ethical officer into chief ethical AI officer, right? To make sure that there are ethics that are looked from an AI spectrum point of view. It's very important. So I look at it as probably three or four sectors. One is what organizations are doing, you know, making sure they are doing ethical AI, ethics at the center of the AI. The second dimension is government, as the gentleman talked about, the regulations, the AI acts that are coming together, that really plays a big vital role. And third, we all are consumers. We are on consumer side of it. We also have to play a role into it to make sure that ethically we are able to consume the services that are being offered and challenge if something that is not right, right? I think we all have a say in this entire ecosystem, and overall I think ethics is one of the reason probably AI didn't take off as much as it's supposed to, as we are sitting here today, right? Because ethics, the kind of data controls that we want to put around, the kind of regulations that we want to, everything passing through that stages makes it even becomes challenging in these LLM models, because they want a lot of data, and all of the data is fed in. There are no controls in it. Then how do you really make sure that data is controlled enough and ethically correct enough to make sure that we are serving the right information to the right people at the right time, right? I think these things all play vital role as we evolve, and ethics is really organizations are putting at the center of it as they evolve the AI practice as a whole.
I think one of the very interesting themes which is taking shape is the whole data and behavior footprint that we are generating as consumers, whether it's a corporate entity or whether it is an individual consumer, right? There is tremendous amount of data across various platforms and systems that is getting generated. I have taken an Uber in the morning to come here. I have made a payment using my GPay or PhonePay. I'll probably go back and do something, take a metro rail or something. So there is a data and a behavior footprint which is getting generated. Now the challenge is how do we bring these together, right? And whether we like it or not, there is a very thin line between snooping on privacy and creating something for the productive use. Now, sitting in Hyderabad, we've all been reading news about phone tappings and things like that, right? So, people will always have a fundamental challenge of where do we draw the line. But to answer to your question, Kumar, is that if we can find a way in a clean and ethical manner to integrate the data footprint that we all generate, it is going to evolve into financial magic, right? We will see a day very soon where AI and ML will be able to give out a very, very curated experience of what financial products, at what rates of interest, at what points of time that you will be needing from the financial services providers, right? And that is going to fundamentally change the way the financial services ecosystem or industry has been built over a period of time. But more exciting is that it is going to bring a lot of changes into our way of life, because now we are going to get access, we are going to get better rates, we are going to get better financial products driven and fueled by AI and ML, right? So those are my thoughts around this.
One important thing, the way I see currently is happening or also will happen. So one thing which has happened is the financial inclusion. That is a good part which has happened, and then payment systems are in place. Now these things are placed. Now as a young India is growing up, what they need is the financial stability. So that is one of the important thing. What is the country is going to do something about it, and that is coming up. For example, so there are, as you have seen, there are very minimal instruments where people can diversify their wealth. Today, that is increasing. You may have seen these mutual funds have taken a lot of traction last 4 or 5 years, and people have started investing in stocks. Now they are getting learned in how to do that. Now there will be more safer instrument will be created where people will be more going to invest and make sure they have their financial stability. So that is what I think will happen. And I can give, there are some interesting stuff like pay over time, or they call it pay later. That's the easy credit everyone has in some form or the other, right? Where they can get that credit and do some sensible transaction out of it and then pay back. right? At the same time, what we see as easy credits are coming, that has its own challenge. So as we are going through these systems of change, we need to find that balance and make sure we get to a stable scenario where the country's wealth is safe and sustained over time.
My 2 cents on the question, Kumar. The answer is yes, I would say. To me, AI for India or India with the AI, there are two things which are required. One is the talent, and the second is intent. And we in India have both, and in plenty, right? So it's gonna happen for sure. We gonna be leader sooner. That's my belief, and it's gonna happen for India, especially in the fintech domains, health domains, where we have a lot of to catch up, and the acceleration that we'll see in those catch ups is will be something which the world will see for sure. That's what I think.
Seriously, I think it all starts with the talent, right? And we are here sitting here in JNTU Hyderabad, where there are a lot of students that are really growing up in AIML specialization, right? Which where when I'm growing up, there I didn't even hear any of those terms, right? Of course, it's a while back. So the reality is the talent is being built around AI here. That's definitely the number one big positive. The second side of it is we have already done in payment systems. We've done it. We have the subject matter expertise. We have the kind of financial background, financial systems, how they operate, what it is, what the challenges are at scale, right? We talked about scale as well. So we've seen it all, right? So we have the advantage than any other country in the world. And I think that combination is super powerful. When we bring that together and the intent that he talked about, and our heart is there, right? We are there, we are technologists, we are passionate, and we bring that passion together and make that happen. I think we're going to be very powerful. And it starts from top down, right? Our leaders like Modi, all the way down, it is AI centric, how they're driving India to be AI centric. I think all of that just fuels, comes together, and we're going to be a very powerful country as we go along.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.